Welcome to Papa Duke's Bedtime Stories. Thank you for joining me tonight. I am Duke Pierce Reed, and I am the author and narrator of this story. Before we begin, tell me in the comments where you are joining me from tonight. Your presence inspires my imagination. There are always new stories to write. If this story captivates you, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Every interaction keeps the creative fires burning in me, and I thank you in advance. Now, let this tale unfold. Episode 9, Bedlam, a Wychwood Ghost Story. 1895, Oxford. Oxford lay drowned beneath a velvet, thunder-laden sky. The spires and battlements loomed like fossilized sentinels, slick with rain and coal smoke, their silhouettes trembling in the brief flares of lightning. Gas lamps shimmered, their jaundiced halos swallowed by the mist. The air smelled of soot and iron and fear. Emily kept her borrowed cloak tight around her, the thin hospital gown clinging cold to her knees. Freedom, she thought, is colder than I expected. Tink walked ahead, his cap pulled low, eyes darting through the gloom. Somewhere down these twisting snickets lay Professor Wiccan's rooms and the cursed beads. The stones beneath their boots were slick, the alleys narrow as cracks in bone. The air had a pulse. From somewhere far beyond came the hollow clatter of hoofs. Emily froze. A black carriage rounded the corner, lamps blazing. She knew it instantly. The Shipton carriage. Through a half-opened window, Wakefield's pale face flashed. For an instant their eyes locked, hers wide with terror, his alight with fury. She grabbed Tink's arm, fingers gripping as if hanging from a cliff. He paused, confused at her fear. Tink glanced from him to her and back to him, not knowing Wakefield by sight. "Stop! Stop that carriage!" shouted Wakefield, door opening. "Run!" Emily whispered. They bolted. The carriage wheels screamed against cobbles. Tink seized her hand, yanking her down a side lane as the coach thundered past. "This way!" he shouted, dragging her through an archway too narrow for horses. Rain lashed them. Shadows spun. The city twisted like a maze around them. Bridges over hidden courtyards, dripping gargoyles, a smell of ancient libraries and damp wool. The hoofbeats receded, then returned somewhere else, echoing like the hunt of a relentless beast. Tink stopped beneath a rusted bronze placard. Professor Wiccan's Ancient Studies. They pounded on the door. No answer. Tink's boot made one. The lock gave way with a splintering shriek. Inside, Wiccan's rooms were thick with dust and the odor of pipe smoke and varnish. Books lay open in untidy stacks, skulls and potsherds crowding the shelves. A single oil lamp burned low. "Emily?" the professor said, startled from his chair. "My God, how?" He reached for the bell pull. Tink was faster. "Sit down, Professor." Wiccan's voice trembled. "Who is this?" "You have beads," demanded Tink. "Beads? What the devil are you talking about? Emily, dear, this man is lunatic. He has clearly corrupted your thinking," Wiccan said. "You are a grave robber," said Tink, pinching the man's cheek as if inspecting a tapestry. Emily gave Wickens a scornful look. "I trusted you. You lied to me. You were always lying." "Artifacts," Wickens sputtered. On loan for study. Nothing more." Tink leaned close, fingers tightening on the man's shoulder. "You stole from the dead. She wants them back." Wickens shook his head, eyes darting toward a tall Georgian cabinet in the corner. He tried to hide it, but the glance betrayed him. There? Tink asked, grinning. You really should learn to lie with your eyes. Emily crossed the room. The cabinet's glass door was dark and oily, as if the air behind it were thicker than the rest of the world. She saw her own reflection quiver across its surface, pale, rain-streaked, half-mad. Which drawer? She demanded. Wickens hesitated. Tink slapped him, a sharp crack that echoed like a gunshot. The third, he stammered. Emily opened it. Only bronze spearheads. Tink yanked open the others, ivory handles clattering. Antler, bone, clay shards. Then, there, he breathed. The fourth drawer held them. Beads of amber, jet, glass, and bone, each carved with impossible precision, threaded once on sinew now dark with age. They pulsed faintly in the lamplight, as though remembering touch. Tink scooped them into his palm. Emily closed the drawer, easing the glass panel shut. Something moved in her reflection. A second face. She screamed. The surface rippled, and through it glared a white mask of rage. The Wraith. Its eyes were hollow furnaces, its mouth a pit of smoke. My beads, it hissed. The room plunged into cold. Papers flew from the desk. Wickens staggered back, crossing himself. The Wraith lunged, emerging through the glass like an eruption. It seized Tink's arm, dragging him toward the void. Emily! She grabbed his other hand. Hold on! The beads passed between them, scattering light like ember. You want these? She shouted at the creature. Let him go! The Wraith shrieked, its voice an echo from every coffin ever sealed. Its claws slashed the air, but the beads blazed brighter. For a heartbeat, all three hung in a trembling triangle. Emily's defiance, Tink's pain, the Wraith's fury. Then it released him. Tink fell hard against the floor. Emily clutched the beads to her chest and ran, Tink scurrying behind her. Behind them, Wiccan's scream rose in a long, thin thread. They burst into the rain. Lightning tore across the spires. And there, blocking the archway, stood Wakefield, hat brim dripping, eyes blazing. Emily, his voice was a blade, you've ruined everything. Tink stepped in front of her. Move aside. You, Wakefield recognized him now. Bedlam's man of many faces, the lunatic. You filled her head with nonsense. He drew a knife. You were meant to disappear quietly. Do you know what you've done to my inheritance? Tink smiled thinly, rain coursing down his cheek. You talk too much. Their knives flashed almost together. The first clash rang off the stone like struck iron. Emily backed against the wall, heart hammering, clutching the beads. Lightning made the blades white fire in her hand. Wakefield lunged, quick and practiced. Tink parried, barely, their shadows twisting on the wet stone. Each thrust recalled another century, the deck of the asylum, the storm at sea, a duel not of men, but of fate repeating itself. Wakefield slashed again, the blade grazing Tink's sleeve. You'll hang for this. Not tonight. They circled. The rain hissed like steam. Emily shouted something. She wasn't sure what. Then Wakefield spun, and Tink slipped. The knife came down. Emily snatched a flower pot from the sill and struck with both hands. It shattered against Wakefield's temple. He collapsed, eyes wide, knife clattering from his grip. Thunder cracked overhead. Tink staggered up, breath ragged. Whew, you hit him? I hit him. They looked down. The man did not move. Is he? Doesn't matter. She caught Tink's arm. We have to go, now. Across the quad, bells tolled 3. Rain hammered the paving stones as they ran. Beads clenched between them like a fuse. Tink gasped. Where are we going? To Oddington. He stared at her. In this storm? Are you mad? It began there. It ends there. She held up the beads. Their glow was faint but steady. They belong to her grave. The wind howled around the spires, scattering the last of Wickham's papers down the lane. Behind them, in the dark, a whisper moved through the rain. "Return what is mine." They ran. The Shipton carriage sat driverless, horses obedient. Emily scampered up to the coachman's seat. Tink followed as she took the reins. She knew the horses, and they knew her. Tink knew ships and the sea. The storm deepened as they left the city. Thunder rolled like cannon fire. The fields stretched black and endless, hedgerows bending low, as if to hide from what followed. Once Emily thought she saw a figure in the lightning, gliding beside them, tall, pale, watching from the trees of the Wickwoods. "Don't look," Tink said, "just keep going." She did. The road gleamed like wet iron beneath the storm. In her mind, faces flickered. Wickham's terror, Wakefield's fury, her mother's fading portrait at Shipton Court. And far back, the sea. She felt the pulse of the beads in her pocket, as though the wraith's heart still beat within them. At the ridge beyond the forest, she looked back. Oxford lay distant, swallowed in mist. "Almost there," she said, though the words trembled. Tink said nothing. His sleeve was dark with blood where Wakefield's knife had grazed him, but said nothing, jaws set. The storm broke again in a blinding sheet of rain. She urged the horses on as night fell toward the unseen village of Oddington and whatever waited beneath its earth. End of episode 9. I hope this episode of Bedlam, a Wychwood Ghost Story, has enthralled you, dear listener, and brings you back for the next. Were you surprised by the plot twists? Or did you expect something altogether different? Share your thoughts below. The comments are always helpful, and I really do enjoy reading them. If this Wychwood Ghost Story captivates you, please like and subscribe to Papa Duke's Bedtime Stories for more, written and narrated by me, Duke Pierce Reed. You can purchase digital copies of most of my books online, from Apple Books, Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble, Nook, Kobo Rakuten, and dozens of fine online shops worldwide. Thank you for joining me tonight.